Hello, everybody, and welcome to your coverage of WSL's Qatar F124 League Day. My name's John. I'm not your normal host today, but I am filling in for Guardian. And I just want to get us started here as we discuss some of the standings. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you do not know what the league is, let me let me enlighten you. WSL is a Australian, Oceania-based F1 24 league. Currently, F1 24. They have a single tier currently, but a real mix of skill. All are welcome. If you are viewing and you are not part of the league, feel free to jump up below. There is a link there to join the Discord. And you can jump on in there. Plenty of room for plenty of races. Now, here we are with the standings. Just want to cover these while our racers begin their possible qualifying laps. So obviously, if we start with team standings here, we've got Red Bull on top. A pretty decent score gap there. We're looking at 43 points between them and Ferrari. Ferrari, obviously, as I mentioned, coming in second, and then we have McLaren third. A real mix of wins back and forth, but obviously Ferrari coming out on top with a huge amount of wins compared to the other drivers. We've got Sauber in fourth, which is really cool, just coming up behind McLaren. Ferrari replacing McLaren in a recent race. We have Williams fifth, Haas sixth, RB 7th, Aston Martin 8th, Alpine 9th, and Mercedes 10th. Now, honestly, anywhere really between 8th and kind of 5th there, you've got a real close knit. And then 4th to 1st, you got pretty close as well. So definitely worth keeping an eye on that one if that's something you want to go for, if you want to go for a specific team, especially coming into next season. Do that because, my God, they are close. Well, it's a beautiful racing league, and the skill here that you'll be able to see tonight, I think it will show. And now driver standings, we've got Meowsy on top. They are defending their title currently, attempting, and their title. We'll have to see. Obviously, this is unfortunately Meowsy's last race of the season, so it is now down to today. If they want to keep that top spot, they have to do well today. We have combined just behind them in 3, 6, 7, and then we have behind them technically with the exact same 7. So super close there, second and third. Meowsy on 5, 6, 6. Clunky and combined could still pull this through. We have Sammy in fourth, Jono in fifth. That is Williams at B. Pretty close between those two as well. We have the McLaren 6th. Also super close, just behind B. The Red Bull. Highlight of a beautiful Sergio Perez's face there. The 282 again, just behind the 306. The closeness of the top of this ladder it's almost thrilling to experience here. Got the Haas, followed by Alpine, and then another Haas. Super close in skill there. We've got Brodster in the kick, coming up in 12th. And we have just behind him Williams. And then we have the Alpine. We've got the Mercedes flanking the final Ferrari. The skill difference between the two Ferraris, pretty heavy, it looks like. Look, command right down at the bottom there. Now, the fight for tonight, pretty heavy. It's pretty serious. Realistically, battle for the Constructors' title, Red Bull needs to outscore Ferrari by 26 points to take the title each round. They need 68 points, obviously, per round, so Red Bull outscore Ferrari by 20. Pretty big one. We'll just have to see if they can achieve that today. Battle for P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Clunky and combined, obviously, on the equal points mentioned before. Sammy and Jono just behind them. We'll just need to see if Clunky and combined they'll need unfortunately Sammy and Jono would need to hope for them to stay in the fight for the places. Meso and Zenitsu both have a race ban, so they aren't racing today. Hero has a qualifying ban, so he will come in and out of pits there. We have Meowsy on the final race of their season, as we mentioned, and this race will be WS 5th GP. The pit entry on this track is a spicy one, so you have to make sure, or the drivers have to make sure to be really careful coming in and out of that. But that was my little kind of refresh of the season. Let's now tune in live racing and let's see how the qualifying is going. Righty, so Jono's coming out here on the softs. All races are going on the softs. We have no formation lap on this one. So testing on different tyres might be an interesting way to start your qualifying, but instead they're just sending it all on softs, which, I mean, is a great idea. There is a lot to fight for in this race. I'm going to presume the races are all as stressed as I can imagine them being. I know I would be if I was in their place. Hopefully they can bring something out today and get the results that they're... We have MS3 coming in, and in the second, 121.8. With Toasty following close behind in the 122.3. Clear in the 125. They're all real close. Jono is a skilled racer. We see him race a lot in other leagues, and I'm sure, obviously, according to the ladder, he's put in some incredible decent one. Rodstar overtaking both Toasty and Tiglio, getting the 1-2. That is beautiful. Cutting it a bit close. The Red Bull in front of him, or not close enough, I should say. He's got a bit to go there. Put a little wiggle to show us that he's there. Oscar Piastri obviously serving his qualifying ban there, coming in and out of that pit successfully. Good for him. I think that's something to always pay attention to, how well drivers are able to adhere to the rules that are given to them. I love controller, not showing that controller bias. Great here with the 126.2. It's unfortunate, it happens. Not much you can do about it. And then we've got Tiglio here with a 123. Currently middle of the ladder, it's looking pretty comfortable. We've got Combined coming out here. That's obviously KB's rival for today, sporting that beautiful green helmet in the nice, gorgeous Red Bull. As always, let's see if that Red Bull's performance is serving today, a 122.067. That puts him 3 tenths behind Jono there for first place. Obviously needs to outscore Jammy Dodge, known as Meowsy. We'll just have to see if they can achieve that. And really, it comes down to the wire here. Obviously, Clinky today, having discussions with them outside of the race today. They are looking for, the best they can to win this race. They want to be able to get a win this season. Unfortunately, it's been a dry season for them win-wise, and they're hoping to get... we'll just have to see if that happens. Flanked right behind him by the second Mercedes here with Cockera. Right behind them on the outlap. Let them pass. They're only on an outlap. Both drivers have just raced. So Rodster's obviously... Monkey's taking this opportunity to recharge, I imagine, or come into the pits, depending on what he does. Mercedes on his outlap. Now following Meowsy here. He is on his outlap, so we'll have to see. Sporting a super cool looking helmet. He's got that championship helmet design going there. We'll just have to see if that reflects as well as it does on the helmet into the race today. If they can achieve it. Obviously, Meowsy not racing in the last race. This is a big one for them. This means all of the eggs they want to win this season need to put in some work today. So, on their outlap, Funky going for another push lap here. Funky is going for it, looks like. Sure, incredible line keeping here from them. Beautiful. It's always a pleasure to watch. What a driver, huh? What a driver. Bit of a slippery slide there. Oh, God, that was embarrassing while I was watching. I'm so sorry, mate. That is, yikes. MJ Roller in the McLaren. Beautifully coming in with a 121.758. That is insane. That is half a tenth. Or just under half a tenth quicker than Jono there. Jono on his outlap with fresh softs. Imagine attempting or wanting to attempt to beat that time now set. Now Meowsy out on their actual push lap. Not using a ton of energy, but as to be expected, is getting a nice little possible bit of slipstream behind this kick. It really depends on how well they can do coming through here. The kick not giving it to him. I will go cross country. You are not getting my toe. You know, it's not happening. I do not want you behind me, and I'm going to make sure I get out of the way for that. Respectful racing here at WSL. As you mentioned before, if it's a league that interests you, make sure you jump below and join on up. Coming through Sector 3 here at a 105 currently. I just have to see if Meowsy can achieve the points, the time that they want. Realistically, the time to beat, the 121.7. We'll just have to see if they can achieve that. And they come into the pits. Doesn't matter. Obviously, I'm not sure if they had any problems. Maybe they need a wing replace. Didn't like the car setup. I imagine the car setup is probably what happened. But they did do both an out lap and a push lap on it, so probably just not happy with that time. Just have to see if they can improve it with the next one. Clunky now on 4. Well, this is now their 4th lap old tire. We'll just have to see 121.014. See if they can get better than that. Currently coming out of Sector 2 at roughly, I'm going to say a 103. 102.5. That is significantly slower. This looks like it could possibly be a come into hit lap. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Normally pulling out performance much quicker than that. The Red Bull or the RB here with Jono. Beautiful livery. My goodness, can I just say, I know the classic livery of the Alpha Tauri back in the day with the Red Bulls. Beautiful, but there's something about the chrome balls on the RB that just love it. Aston Martin getting out of the way as always. Beautiful sportsmanship here from our qualifying teams. We're looking at a 121.436. That is now the quickest lap in this qualifying. Jono proving you can beat it. Give it a go. Let's see if Meowsy can do that. Coming now out into that outlap. Kakarot yet to set a lap. Did come out of the pits before, possibly with a track limits, not or invalidating race there. I Love Controller still bringing up the rear with a 126.2. Slipping and sliding quite a bit on their 5-lap-old softs. This track is a hot one. It will melt your tires, so you got to really make sure you manage those. These softs realistically aren't going to last past maybe 3-4 laps at most. Coming out for a 5th lap and still trying is bold. You got 6 minutes, so hitting and swapping, best choice. Opinion. The Martin here getting followed by the RB of Jono. Jono getting that slipstream. Is he going to be able to use it to his advantage? Is he going to get a quicker lap than before? No. I don't know if this was a push lap, but he is 3 seconds slower coming out of Sector 2. Again, is race. Jeremy Dodge, also known as Meowsy, is coming out of their outlap now. Let's follow them around this lap and see really how they perform. Hopefully, well, I hope for their sake that they can get some proper speed in here. We'll just have to see if they can perform that. Some beautiful driving here from them, though, I must admit. Oh, gorgeous around these Sector 1s. Now, obviously, other leagues have raced this track previously, or at least this season. At least this week that I've covered, I should say. And realistically, this corner here that we're following through, second corner of Sector 2, is a sticky one. The hard turns left and right, we saw a lot of people slip off middle railing. Just have to see if Meowsy can pull something out here. I am interested to see. Ooh, that Red Bull looked a little line. I just have to see if Meowsy does that. Such. I doubt it, but it's still a great lap from them. Coming into the final straight, and again pitting. possibly getting another invalidation. Let's check that. Needed track limits on their first lap. Or was that just then? Lap 1, no. So that wasn't an exceeding track limit. Very interesting. Car setup obviously becoming an extremely important thing for Meowsy here. Possibly he's pitting every single time. I need a new car setup. Not functioning. I want to. That's generally the message I'm getting here. We'll just have to see if that is true. I really hope, for his sake, that he can bring something out of these times here, because he's invalidating, or he's just not getting the lap times that he wants, and it's causing a lot of problems for him. Running on board with Brodster here, coming out on his out lap, doing a couple of wiggles coming down there, warming up those tires just a little bit. It's a rough track for it, but following that driving line perfectly around that corner. Beautiful shot of that neon green shopping trolley, driving in a beautiful straight line. He's got an extremely standard helmet. We'll just have to see if that changes coming to the end of the season. Beautiful track limits not being breached here. Now the white lines, the track limits on this track are harsh. It is a tough one to beat. Hopefully, I mean, I hope for everyone's sake here that they can achieve the lack of penalties that they want. Depending on, I mean, we have 13 drivers today. We'll just have to see if all 13 of them cannot cause a safety car. It's a hard track to cause a safety car on, I feel. But it can happen. It definitely can happen. Once again, Meowsy coming out on their outlap. The championship helmet glistening in this beautiful Qatar nighttime lighting here. Just have to see, again, if this guy can set a lap that he's happy with. It's sticky. The Haasers come in after 6 laps on those softs. I'm amazed his car didn't just spin out and crash. With this kind of track. It is a hot one, and it is melting those softs fast. We're seeing people pit after 1 or 2 laps. Jono's still sitting on top. MJ Roller looking to replace that. Hoping for it, at least. Coming very slow through sector 1. It's not looking like a great lap for them, unfortunately. Yeah, slowing down, just saving, just charging. Nothing they're going to really be able to do about that. Both the Red Bulls, I think, are currently leaving. Oh, no. Red Bull 1 is leaving. Red Bull 2 is pitting. And we'll just have to see if Clunky can put in a bit of time here. Possibly be any lap that Meowsy can set. Now, speaking of Meowsy, he is on his official lap now. Following along here through Sector 1. He's got good pace. Keeping good amount of time. Great turning there. Keeping a decent amount of energy charge. We're looking like at least over 50%. Obviously, most ERS settings will be set to hot lap. Piglio at a 123 is the closest to the back here. If Meowsy can't pick it up, it's going to end up at the back of the grid, which obviously a 0 to hero is... It's a great story, but it's not the kind of outcome he needs. Meowsy's realistically going to have time for 2 laps on these tires, so just going to have to see if he can do that. MS3, retiring, believing, oh, yep, that's the best I'm going to get on this one. The RB getting out of the way of the driving line, good for them. Lovely to see, as always. Meowsy coming in at a 120.5. Wow! That is some speed. Clunky now on their outlap. I mean, wow, that is crazy. 120.5. Meowsy was able to nail down that car setup. Finally, after pitting multiple times, they got it. They got it down. Now it's now it's up to Clunky to respond. We'll just have to see what they can bring to the table here. Going for a push lap, possibly? Hopefully. I presume they're hoping that they can get a little closer to the front. But obviously there's no chance there's no real way to tell what's going to happen. You know, you never know if there's going to be like a crash, or if something really bad happens. I doubt it, but we'll have to see. Now, the qualifying has finished, so anyone who isn't currently out on an out lap, on a push lap, will be able further. So your back of the grid is already confirmed with I Love Controller with a 125, 9th, and Tosi coming in 8th. Both Mercedes side by side, 8th and 9th. Particularly are still in the pits, which will probably put them in 11th, I imagine. Meowsy coming in first, depending on if any of these drivers can beat them. Looking at a 118, 119, 120, 121, 121.7. Going to put Clunky in 4th, putting them above their teammate. That is going to put them in a little more of a comfortable position starting. We just have to see if that is the result that can bring them this win that so desperately. Jono confirming the 2nd place here. Depending on what MJ Roller does, they can maneuver. Get in front of them here. Oh, right off the track there. If that isn't an invalidation, I don't know what is. Let's check that. A beautiful little invalidation there. All right, that's going to put MJ Roller in 3rd. Just to recap quickly, your top 5 are Meowsy, also known as Jammy Dodge. In 1st, you have Jono. 2nd, B. Got the McLaren of MJ Roller in 3rd, and then you Red Bull Clunky in 4th, followed by Sammy in the Williams in 5th. 2nd Red Bull in 6th there. Got Broadstone 7th. Depending on if that is going to be our racers confirmed in their positions. Minutes left to go. Obviously, some of the people just rolling around, hanging out. Love to see it. Some of these helmets are beautiful. By the way, look at this one. Wow, look at those colors. Those like, is that like a thermal helmet? Yeah, it's a little like thermal helmet. Very cool. Looks like a little Lego piece you've stuck to your head. Combined. Love to see it. The Haas here, just going for your standard, the purple shine that F124 gives you. Jono has a nice little pink helmet. Love to see it. Now, obviously, as I mentioned before, Jono is 2nd. And your table will appear here. Go. Jammy Dodge was Meowsy coming in 1st. We'll just have to see if that continues as such. Hopefully, Meowsy can pull something out of the bag here. Keep that 1st place. Otherwise, it's going to come down to a big fight, I would imagine, between the top 4. Don't do this to me. Quite a lot of issues reported recently with communication services. So we'll just have to hope that communicating with online services doesn't persist. Let's hope not. Now, no formation lap in WSL, so for fear of the formation lap bug, which was quite prevalent earlier in the year. So we are just going to go straight into the action. Let's hope this 1st corner is as action-packed as I hope it will be. Obviously, the top 5 have all to play for here. They have qualified great. So we'll just have to see if that's something that also reflects in their race performance. Beautiful. So here we are, gridded up. And we're going, and I've got no audio whatsoever. Fantastic. Never mind, we're good to go. Oh, that is the RB already spun out way at the back there. Or is it the Williams? I think it might be the Williams. Yeah, the Williams spun out right at the start. Meowsy able to hold 1st. Jono and MJ Roller are fighting for 2nd place here. We've got Clunky still in 4th. Top 5 hasn't really changed. All holding their positions as well as they can. Coming around this 1st corner. 2nd corner. couple of lockups there, but nothing really serious. Clunky pushing to stay right on the back of this McLaren. Jano already falling a little bit behind Meowsy. Meowsy showing in their setup at the beginning of the race that they've got pace and they're going to show it. The Williams at the back there, unfortunately, having a terrible start. Not sure what happened. Possibly a bump and a spin. We'll just have to see post-race, unfortunately. Meowsy here absolutely dominating this track already. Jono's going to have to really work to keep up with them. Obviously, DRS not activated in the first lap, but just going to have to see if DRS makes any difference here. And if you can get realistically within inside of it. Brodster sticking right up behind Clunky here. We're now seeing packs form, 1 to 5th, and then 6th down to realistically 9th. DRS is enabled. Seeing a couple of fights here. Clunky going for the overtake on the McLaren. MJ Roller trying to defend, squeezing them a little bit on the outside, but keeping that 1 car distance as per rules. Sitting side by side here. Beautiful bit of fighting from the boys there. Obviously, no DRS was enabled during that fight, so they were only fighting realistically with their ERS. Clunky attempting to gain that position, hopefully to get on the podium right in the second lap there on that corner. They held it well. Unfortunately for Red Bull, the McLaren held it perfectly. We'll just have to see if Clunky can attempt to retake that. The Mercedes drifting outside of each other there. 2 Mercedes flanked by both the kicks. Beautiful bit of racing from this small backpack here. All coming around each other. Whoa! Mercedes trying to overtake Brodster and gets it. Coming round that corner, cheeky little dive from him, but Brodster's right up behind him and has a Mercedes right up behind him. They are glued to each other coming through this corner here. The Mercedes, the rear Mercedes, Cockera, like flinging around. The Red Bull attempting to get a bit of the action here. But a bit of the fight. Meowsy getting fastest lap. Brodster retaking his position in front of Toasty. Oh, and it's kick, Mercedes here for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Got the Red Bull still trying to stick his beak in this fight, but realistically, the fight between 5th and 9th right now is close, as well as the fight, obviously, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Oh, quite a few lockups coming through there. McLaren super close to this RB in front of them. Fighting desperately to get in front of them, try and get on this podium here. Clunky staying with them. I presume, I would hope, just trying their absolute best to get in front. Obviously, Clunky saying many times before this race, I really want pole position this race. I want the podium. And I want the podium. I want number 1. I don't want a podium. I want the podium. So they're just going to have to keep trying to fight for it and hope they can get it. And look, I'm rooting for him. I think secretly, we have no bias here in the commentary box, so I'm rooting for him. I really am. Oh, 1st, 2nd, 3rd here. Oh, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th sticking close to each other. Meowsy is just running away with the race here. Absolutely sending it. The McLaren's going for the overtake on the RB and does get it. Oh, the Red Bull was also going for the overtake there. Did have the speed coming through it. It's going side by side with the RB coming through it. Oh, but KB doesn't quite get it. Now has to sit behind the RB with low energy. May take at least 2 laps to come back through that, depending on if DRS behaves. And if they can get through it, they're able to use just DRS because they have no ERS left. It's going to be a big struggle for them to come back through there. Number 7 RB holding them hard, saying, yeah, Red Bull, nah, RB is where it's at. Again, coming back with it with the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th kind of race here. We got kick, Mercedes, kick, Red Bull, Mercedes. It is a real rainbow fashion of a race coming through here, all following the racing line perfectly. Trying to get that toe off each other. We'll just have to see if Brodster here can make a move and replace the Mercedes that he has been now stuck behind for a few laps. They can only hope that they're able to beat them out of their position there. Oh, breaking aside, multiple warnings from Brodster there. That is so unfortunate. That is I mean, 3 seconds. That's going to put him out behind 10th place there. That is outside of the points and causing a bit of damage for track limits. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do there. The Mercedes going for a beautiful overtake on the kick, and the kick going for an overtake on the kick, but they're actually going to end up going side by side. They are very close coming through here. Brodster now having to funnel in behind. Oh, and almost spinning out his teammate. That's going to cause the Red Bull and the Mercedes to be able to overtake them and slip right through. That was a bit of rough racing from Brodster there. Whoa. That was very close to knocking out his own teammate. Going back to the fight for 4th and 3rd here, Clunky able to outpace Cockera in the Mercedes. He's now just trying to stick with the pack here, following them. Meowsy again running away with the race, 4 seconds ahead of Jono. Clunky here racing up behind the McLaren. We'll just have to see if he can be able to achieve the result he wants coming through here. Got plenty of energy, plenty of energy. Let's bring up the penalties here. 3 seconds, obviously, with Brodster. We'll just have to see if any more penalties happen. Now, in previous races that I have covered on this track, penalties do happen a lot. It is a tight race for the penalties, so we'll just have to see if that is also something that happens here. The McLaren of MJ Roller able to overtake Jono, come up into 2nd place. Clunky now combating again with the RB to try and gain that position behind them, but they're all still sticking so close together. We have a caution in Sector 3. Both the Haas is completely off the track, spinning out utterly, and the McLaren was ghosted? No, I guess it was just the Haas spinning out there completely. 11th, 12th, and 13th now super far behind the pack. Not looking like those guys are going to be able to catch up really at all. Unless there's a major safety car, but I doubt it. The caliber of racing here at WSL, a little higher than your average racetrack. Brodster and his teammate here desperately fighting with these Mercedes for these positions in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. But it's not coming up kick, unfortunately. Brodster with his 3-second penalty and combined not able to really combat the dual Mercedes strategy here. Not to mention Brodster trying to sabotage his own teammate by knocking his tires around. We'll just have to see if that comes up after the race. Otherwise, some very clean racing from the boys here in the middle pack. Middle is always the hardest place to be, I would imagine. And obviously now Cockroach coming up just behind this Red Bull. I'm sure they're going to try their best to go for the overtake, get out of the middle of this pack, get a bit of clean air in front of them. Clunky did attempt to go for a little bit of an overtake there. Didn't quite get it, unfortunately. I mean, what can you do, right? If I do this, I apologize for this. Let me just, I don't know, do it in here. Invite him. Does that fix that? No, it doesn't. It's alright. Unfortunately, we just have to put up with the fact that we have communicating with online services. It's an EA game. What can I say? Every now and again, we're just going to get interrupted. That's fine. Tiglio getting a 3-second penalty. That is the person behind Brodster. That's now going to put Brodster with a bit more breathing room. That is pretty much a confirmed 9th for him currently if he can hold this position. We'll just have to see depending on how close they can each pull each other. The Red Bull able to overtake the Mercedes as the Mercedes goes off the track. Losing a ton of traction. That's going to give Combined the opportunity to try and slip through. Is he going to be able to do it, though? We are going 3 wide down this straight here. It is a real mess of drivers coming down here. We've almost gone 4 wide. It's a weird little diamond formation for these 4 races. Oh, Brodster coming right up behind his teammate. Not really sure. How do I attack this? How do I get through? They're almost blocking each other. One defending and the other trying to overtake. The kick in front of him not quite having the pace to be able to do so. I mean, that's not going to be the result that he wanted. Jono losing position to MJ Roller again. Clunky, I imagine, just trying to save his tires. Qatar is a tire bleeder. Cockra again overtaking the Red Bull. Going side by side, hearing that Mercedes engine pop as it comes through. The kick chasing them closely. These 5 battling in the middle here are, I would argue, quite scrappy. But also, it's so close seeing these guys fight. Oh, going side by side here. Clunky is with the McLaren, not using, so has plenty of energy to spare, unfortunately, on the outside of that line, which means he's not going to be able to get the overtake opportunity. Staying nice and close with both the McLaren and the RB, both locking up around that corner, not locking up himself. Cockerill getting a 3-second penalty. That is great for both the Red Bull and the Kick and the Mercedes, all behind them. It's going to put them up in a few positions there. Unfortunate for him. That is track limits, as I've said before. This track is a nasty one for it. Following these three here, it is a thrilling battle between 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. We'll just have to see if one of these boys can pull something coming straight down here. DRS is open. ERS not being used. Not to waste it on this straight. I'm not going to be able to get the overtake. No point in forcing it. We're straight through here and stay in the exact same positions again. Now, obviously, we've had discussions with Jono in previous locations in other leagues, and he is very good at defending down that straight. He's mentioned it a few times. It's all about balancing your way through as the lap goes. Clunky now being followed by his teammate in the other Red Bull. All of these cars side by side coming through here again. The Mercedes of Toasty being forced to go off the track. Brodster again breaking another road sign. Where do you attack in this position? How do you slip through it? Brodster's now in the exact same position that Combined was in 2 laps ago, where we're seeing almost a 3-wide scenario every single turn. Toasty getting a 3-second penalty as well for track limits. That is now both Mercedes with their 3-second penalties. That is great for Combined in the Kick. Getting his points up, moving his positions up, but purely through that. And I Love Controller bringing up the rear pack there, also getting a 3-second penalty. Having to brake constantly here, Brodster to not avoid a collision with the Mercedes. The Mercedes going rather slowly through these straights. I imagine through here, the attempt will be made to overtake. We'll just have to watch and see if he can do it. The Mercedes goes for the overtake on his teammate. Brodster follows through as well. Does he get it? He does. Very smooth operation there. I tell you what, Toasty is fading. That is a rough scenario to be involved in there for him. So once again, we're Mercedes kick. Up in the front, the McLaren of MJ Roller did overtake once again Clunky. Brodster got a beautiful overtake here on the Mercedes. Both Mercedes going pretty wide there. We're not seeing a lot of behind racing. We're seeing a lot of side-by-side racing in these Mercedes. They truly are taking up this track. You are not going to be able to overtake my friend because I'm going to block you in. It's a very interesting maneuver from them. A bit of teamwork never goes amiss. Brodster now has his work cut out for him, though. He needs to try and make this gap. He needs to not only catch up with MS3, but he needs to put at least 3 seconds between them and try and get outside of DRS, because that's really where the issues are coming from for this pack in the middle here. It's constant DRS battles. Now, Clunky and Jono are right behind each other. It's coming down to these boys here. Jono right behind MJ Roller again on this straight. It's a copy-paste, unfortunately, for this track. It is constant overtake on that straight. Clunky was going for a inside overtake, but ended up getting an outside overtake. The McLaren having to do a bit of quick reaction time there to not only not go off, but collide with Clunky. Clunky very skillfully able to not crash there. It was cutting it a bit close there between the boys, but obviously they are desperate for this race win. Now, no pits yet, but we are coming up to our pit window. Obviously, as I said before, this track does bleed your tyres, so I'm sure the boys are going to be looking for a pit here where they can get it. Brodster and Toasty with their 3-second penalty. MS3 with the 6, and Cocker up with the 6. Tiglio with the 3. And I Love Controller with the 3. That is rough for those teams. Obviously, Kick are looking pretty good standing-wise with Combined sitting up there on the Constructors. But unfortunately, not anywhere near where he needs to be to get the points that they want. just witnessing these three constantly overtaking each other is almost uncomfortable. Now we're seeing a pit from Clunky here, an interesting maneuver, pitting before the rest of the rest of the pack. Go for an early pit. Now obviously your hards will degrade quicker, but Clunky has been practicing. They have tried to get down. I know when I'm going to pit, so I'm going to try and do it. That's going to put them right at the back of the traffic, but I'm sure they're hoping to work their way through, maybe take advantage of the pits. They are far back though, so we'll just have to see if, for instance, if Meowsy pits, I don't think they're going to get in front of them. It really comes down to how far or how quick they can catch the pack. Not a lot of DRS where Clunky's currently sitting, but quite a bit of free air. So he's got a bit of time to warm up those tyres. And let's see if he can catch up to the boys here. Broadster, right in the middle of this pack still, did start on hards. Let's check our race here. Yeah, so Broadster did start on hards. Sammy's already come in for the front wing repair and hard to mediums as well, right at the start of the race. So we'll just have to see here what kind of difference these hards can make for Clunky. As I said, bit of clean air. We'll just have to see if he can catch up to the pack here. Not getting any DRS in the position that he's in, so it really just comes down to ERS use and pace that he can achieve. Jono coming into pit. NJ Roller staying out, as well as Meowsy. Both drivers are confident that they'll be able to stay on the mediums here. I'm sure their tyres are melting away on this track. But that's not going to stop them from attempting to do what they need to do. MS3 going too quick in pit lane here. Not being able to serve it this lap. I'll have to serve it next lap. Or next pit. If he does pit, that's going to put him 16 seconds back. That is pretty much his race over. I would be very surprised if he can recover from that. Clunky getting a few positions up due to the pits. That's now going to put him just almost in range of Jono. Once again, Jono did pit. That is going to put him on slightly fresher hards. Obviously, only a lap or two fresher. Doesn't make a huge amount of difference at the moment. But that is going to put Clunky within DRS, which is going to give him that bit more speed that he needs to catch back up to that those front runners. NJ Roller in the McLaren still on the mediums, and then we've still got the Ferrari on the mediums as well. Still looking at mediums from Toasty as well, but Toasty does have that penalty, and Broadster is on those hards that he started on. Probably trying to stay out for a bit longer, see what kind of pace he can get out of it. We'll just have to see really where that comes down to. Obviously, if Toasty and Broadster were to finish right now, Broadster would get his podium. So we'll we'll just have to... Oh, no, I lie. Of course, they both have 3 seconds, so they won't. Meowsy coming in to pit, or did pit. Got a really nice pit off. That is great for him. Only losing one position. Two positions, technically, to Broadster as well. Broadster, obviously, though, with the old tyres. And then Clunky and Jono also now catching back up to the front of the pack. That is going to put your third, fourth, and fifth are going to be the ones to watch here. Can Jono catch up to Meowsy? That is going to be the question, because if he can't, this race is still looking like it's going to be in Meowsy's hands. Obviously, MJ Roller still hasn't pitted, and Broadster is on much older hards. It's going to be down to Broadster to defend this as hard as he can, but Meowsy has shown that he has the pace, he has the race skill, and he also now has fresh tyres. So the defense needs to be there, and he also needs to get 3 seconds in front of Meowsy to get any chance of holding the position he's in. I think he's fully aware that he's not going to be able to, but the defense is going to be happening. Is it a hold-up strategy? Who knows? Who would you rather let win, right? So the McLaren here, speeding right through. The Ferrari able to completely overtake the kick. Now, because the McLaren is ghosted, that is going to be a massive overtake for... That is going to be a massive overtake for Meowsy there. Not necessary to be scared of. Obviously, Oscar Piastri bringing up the rear of the team here. Not a whole lot that he can do to slow that down. Bronson now sitting right behind... whose hand was that? Sitting right behind Meowsy. Is he going to be able to keep that pace? Probably not. Meowsy obviously on the fresher hards. Jono just behind him is gaining. He's gone from 7.5 to 6.1 in a lap, so in a few laps he will be able to catch up to them. Getting the DRS off the back markers here will also allow him to keep up. Now I imagine Clunky's really hoping for that, because if Jono can't keep up, then neither can Clunky. They both need that DRS right now. They both need the speed to be able to catch up. Unfortunately, Brodster falling quite a bit behind Meowsy. Meowsy again running away with the race. Meowsy needs this, obviously, for his championship. Combined getting a 3-second penalty warning for track limits. Still in the fight here with the two Mercedes. Pit roughly around the same time, so all hards have been put on for our middle team here, and it is unfortunately mean that Combined is still again stuck in this Mercedes fight that he's been stuck in since the start of this race. MJ Roller sitting now catching up to Clunky, and Clunky staying up behind Jono here. Jono again catching Brodster, another second down. And Meowsy setting the quickest lap of a 1:24.100 on the hards that he will stick out on for the rest of the race. Brodster here falling back still. At what point do you go, I should probably pit so I can stay in front of the Mercedes? If he pits now, he'll probably get out in front of the Mercedes, and he should probably do that. That's what I would do. It's going to keep him in front of that pack that he was stuck in for a while. The hard strategy has worked, but now I think it's time to swap. Possibly pushing to get to a medium time, maybe like trying to push it to possibly 20-ish, maybe 18. Try and survive that kind of 10 laps on the mediums, but we'll just have to see. Obviously, a lot of people pitted a few laps ago, so it is possible to survive at least 13-ish, 14 laps on the mediums. So we'll just have to see if that's what Brodster goes for to pit for the mediums here. So Meowsy still out front, 5 seconds ahead. Brodster with his 3-second penalty, nowhere near catching it. Jono again catching up to Brodster, so it looks like the battle for second and third is on. Clunky is in line here to possibly get that. Brodster catching another 3-second penalty. That is a rough scenario for him. It's going to put him even further back. My guy needs to pit, and pit soon. Meowsy setting another fastest lap, 1:24.082. Oscar Piastri Goat bring up the rear. Just want to mention it is now a whole lap behind. Oh, sitting up right close to him. Clunky sitting up almost touching the RB there with the amount of speed he was able to gain under DRS. Jono now catching up to Brodster. That is going to give him DRS, possibly come the next straight if Brodster continues the pace that he's on. Obviously losing the pace behind Meowsy here. Meowsy getting a ton of speed off these new hards, and he's pretty confident with his new setup. He did mention before the race his new setup, I think he thinks gives him the speed that he needs to complete a lap much quicker than he did before, and I think that's really showing here. He needs to, realistically, anyone behind him is wishing for him to make a mistake, and it needs to be a pretty serious one too. Well, as I mentioned before, Sector 1 and 2, we have a caution. The Haas did go off the track again, getting a warning for track limits. Just got to be careful, especially now that the back markers are kind of in the pack. It's going to cause problems for all of their lead racers should a mistake happen. The RB of Jono sitting right up behind Brodster, getting the DRS, coming in for the overtake there. Pretty comfortable overtake for him. That now means Clunky is stuck behind the kick or not coming into this corner. He's going to take the chance too, and he's going to get it. Come around there into the first corner off the straight. That's going to now mean that it's up to MJ Roller to overtake Brodster, and Brodster to hold MJ Roller up. The Clunky coming in now at third. That does give him a podium, but not the podium that he wants. So he needs to both overtake Jono and try and catch Meowsy. Is it going to happen? Who knows? It's anything to play for here. Coming into the now final 11 laps of this race. Still plenty of racing to go here in Qatar. Now our back markers or our middle markers, as we're covering them quite hard before. There was a pretty hard fought battle. A lot of penalties spread out now between these racers. All the kick in front needs to do is hold his position, and he will confirm his 6th place here, sitting pretty far behind the 5th to 1st battle. Broster, obviously, again, still hasn't appeared. It's an interesting strategy. It's an interesting strategy for him. It's a pretty dangerous one also. Meowsy sending a 1:24.048 quickest lap again. Sammy getting another 3-second penalty. Meowsy just taking the time to set some world records here. You know what? I'm on my hards. I've got fresher tires, got clean air. I'm going to set some insane lap times. Jono and Clunky here, both obviously overtaking Brodster. Brodster finally coming into pit for his mediums. He possibly is still going to come out in front of his teammate. His teammate, very interestingly, slowing significantly as the Mercedes overtake both Brodster. Oh, and the Red Bull overtakes Brodster as well. Now, Brodster on the fresh mediums is going to be able to move through this pack pretty quickly, but it comes down to whether he can defend against the double Mercedes stack up here that they've got in the middle of this pack. They are holding each other's pace pretty well, and they're able to work together really consistently to get results that they need. Oh, the kick sliding a little bit there, coming around that corner. Brodster going for the overtake on the Red Bull. The Red Bull, with a massive time penalty, is obviously going to still come out behind him. Brodster wants to get through this pack and is using his ERS to do so. Clunky still staying a comfortable amount of distance in front of the McLaren. McLaren being a pretty big fear for him to take that podium off him. Trying to catch up here to the RB. Not quite able to achieve it. If this stretch of road, if that stretch of straight was just like another 100 meters, maybe even 50, he may still have a chance there, but he needs to realistically be within what looks like 0.4, 0.3. Cockerill retiring from the session, coming into pits and retiring. Too many penalties. I'm not going to be able to finish where I want to. That is a pretty comfortable retirement from him. And he did it in the pits, which is very good of him. Exactly what you should do when you retire from a session in an online environment. Again, a caution in Sector 3. What for? I'm not sure. Doesn't look like there's any cars off the track. Possibly a McLaren issue there, being right at the back of the pack. Jono not catching Meowsy. Meowsy still getting that gap a lot further. Now, Clunky is 1-7 behind the RB here. Once again, not within the distance he needs to be able to catch him along this straight. It looks a lot closer in that faraway view than it does in the car. Is he going to go for the dive? No, because he sticks right to that inside line beautifully, as Jono normally does. Jono is a extremely skilled driver and a pretty good equal to Clunky. So both these drivers are going to have to really bring their A game to be able to beat each other. The RB having a pretty comfortable amount of charge, as well as the Red Bull. We'll just have to see if KB can really outmatch him here. He's got to stick really to his rear and come into that straight being within 0.3 to kind of 0.5. That's really where the overtake could happen, obviously, and then we'll have to hold off Jono while chasing Meowsy. We'll just have to see if Meowsy can hold that lead and doesn't make any mistakes, because that's what it comes down to. As long as you don't make mistakes, then you can still get the victory you need. A little bit of lockup coming in that final corner there for Meowsy. These tyres, not that old. Setting a 1:23.96. Lockup doesn't matter. I'm still going to set these fastest laps. A 1:23.96 is crazy. On race pace, on not pushing or anything, not softs. Clunky again coming into that straight, not quite in range for the overtake. It's just a rough outcome each time for him. I'm gonna hope, and I'm gonna hope that it is all calm and collected there in the pits, in the pit wall for him. But I imagine his team manager is screaming down the radio, "For the love of God, glue to him in Sector 3, because that's where you're losing him." And I'd be interested to see what Clunky's method is here to stay with him coming into Sector 3. Jono is very good at using little bits when he needs to, just giving that little bit of burst. Clunky saving quite a bit of energy here, possibly on a no-use ERS method to try to catch up. We'll just have to see if they can do it. Coming in here, we got a 1 or a 0.5. See if they can get quite within range that he needs to be, the kind of 0.3 to 0.5. Went into the straight, or if Jono again in this Sector 3 is just going to pull away. Well, he is staying with him. That corner is always a nasty one for him. It's kind of 6-ish for Clunky. Is he going to use and DRS to overtake him, or is it again going to come down to a non-overtake? It is again a non-overtake. That is very unfortunate. Got the back marker of the McLaren here. Both cars are just going to whoop right through it. Now the McLaren, obviously his teammate is catching. He's now at a 1.8 over the 2.3 that he was before. So he is catching up to this fight. And we may yet see a decent fight between the McLaren and Red Bull we saw so commonly in the earlier part of this race. Now Brod's just sitting 7th. Although, yes, he did pit for those mediums. He's still, unfortunately, in a scenario where those mediums are not bringing him to the point he wants to be. With the 6-second penalty, that's still going to put him way behind where he wants to be, putting him back in 8th. So, that's a lie. There's a 16-second penalty behind him, so he is still going to confirm his 7th place, but he's not quite catching where he wants to. He is gaining on him, but not quick enough. MJ Roller again with the 1.5. He is gaining on Clunky. Clunky desperately tempted to stay within that 0.5 or 0.5 to on this straight. He does look like he's a lot closer than he has been before. Is he going to be able to do it? Does he have the use required and the speed required to overtake this RB? No, he does not. No, he does not. Jono again proves that he is the king of defending on that straight. Very good at it. Seen it in previous leagues, and he's just shown that he's still got it. He's still got that speed. Brodster catching up now, almost within 1 second of his teammate. That's going to allow him to get the position that he wants back, which is 6th, but he will have to get a 3-second advantage on his teammate to confirm that 6th place. Now, Clunky is a great Sector 1 driver here in Qatar, but it looks like in his Sector 3 he does struggle. So we'll just have to see if he can bring that back. We have another warning for Sector 3. Might be Sammy driving very slowly down the straight there. It does happen. He is quite far back, so we'll just have to see if anything comes of that. Hopefully he doesn't have any problems. And if he does, he should retire in the pits. Oh, 5.5 coming around this corner again for Clunky. Does he have the speed? Does he have the pace to keep up with this RB? Now, both cars' tyres have been worn pretty hard. Here comes the overtake for Clunky finally on the RB. Finally gets it. 25. He's finally been able to do it and overtake that RB. He's been trying to do it for the past 4-5 laps. I mean, realistically, he's been trying to do it the whole race. And the McLaren is catching up again to Jono in a 120. He's not quite in DRS range, but he is catching. You can see the pace. Now, Clunky now has clean air in front of him. Try and push for that first place. It is a long way away. But he can possibly still attempt it. McLaren now coming into DRS range, 06 behind Jono. This is now a three-way fight for 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. A lot closer than it was before. And this McLaren has been able to pull it back just insanely fast. The pace is crazy. No DRS this entire time. He's now going to have DRS, and this fight is now going to become a little more interesting. Timesing it by 100%, bringing us up to 3 races. Now, Jono's going to go, obviously, or attempt the overtake here. He's within the distance, would be considered pretty comfortable. Clunky's not going to be able to do anything to defend, except hold the outside driving line, hoping that he could possibly come for the crossover here. Doesn't quite get it. So stuck again behind Jono. The 5-lap build-up to overtake that, and it is going to end in that. A bit of a slide out there, trying not to touch the asphalt on the outside of the track. Is he having problems with his tyres? Possibly. Beautiful racing for both the kicks here. Brodster going slightly off the track to overtake the Mercedes, going through the back mark of McLaren. Mercedes sitting right up behind him. Again. However, Brodster able to get that overtake. That now puts Brodster in front of both his teammate and the Mercedes that was in front of them. Beautiful bit of racing from him here. With the medium tyres really showing, I got that speed in me, and he's going to be able to keep that speed. Clunky falling a little bit back behind Jono. Jono not ever realistically going to catch Meowsy in the next 3 laps unless Meowsy makes a serious miscalculation. But now it's really down to Clunky to defend this 3rd place. Third place may be something that Clunky will just end up with at the end of this race, unless he can get a great overtake on Jono coming into the final 3 laps of this race. Brodster in 5th, just trying to defend his position against the McLaren, or the Mercedes. Sector 1 again, the Haas has spun off the track. Unfortunately, I Love Controller suffering quite a bit on this track. His controller is not giving him that advantage that a lot believe is there. And I think we're seeing some tyre drop off from Brodster here, unfortunately getting overtaken by both the people behind him. Can he get the switchback? Not quite. Does almost make contact with his teammate here. Oh, he's very close behind him, going for the overtake on the straight. He does that bit more speed. Does he confirm it? He does. His teammate does go off the track slightly. Can't imagine he's happy with that, but, you know, what can you do? Brodster now chasing the Mercedes for the position once again. The McLaren chasing the 1:23.7 set for Meowsy, just showing, yep, this is the final 2 laps. I am going to set another fastest lap. That is crazy. The McLaren now attempting to overtake Clunky. I want that podium, he's saying. I'm going to try and take it. And he's well within attacking range here. It really depends if Clunky is able to defend against the McLaren, which he can't. It's so unfortunate for him. The McLaren almost diving into the back of the RB there. There was a serious lockup for him coming into turn 1. Clunky now has to glue himself to the back of this McLaren and attempt the overtake. Obviously, Clunky with much older tyres than the 2 cars in front of him. Still all hard, but it's going to be a rough fight for him. I'm sure he is desperate for that podium, and he's just going to have to try his best to fight for it. Fight here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th has been the closest of the race. We'll just have to see if Clunky can still pull something out here. Otherwise, we're looking at a 1 Ferrari for Meowsy and a 2 for Jono for RB. The McLaren is putting in some serious pace. He's been able to bring this back beautifully. It didn't look like he was going to be able to be a part of this race in the final straight, but Clunky actually being able to overtake Jono down there, using his bit of ERS, diving pretty late. That's now going to put him right behind the McLaren. Coming in here for the final lap. That's going to put him in third, and now there is a serious chance he's going to be able to get second. Gluing himself to the back of this McLaren, something's clicked in Clunky. He's just realized, I am going to get the second place, and I'm going to try my absolute best to achieve that. Diving really beautifully on Jono, obviously studying that racing line that Jono has been following so perfectly this entire race, and knew exactly where he could slip on the inside. Jono, unfortunately, making a slight mistake with his with going a little too wide, leaving too much space for the Red Bull to just slide right through at a much higher speed. Now leaving Clunky in a position where he has to think, am I going to try and defend this third, or am I going to push for second? Who knows, if he's within 5 or within the space that he needs to be to overtake this McLaren, it may come down to a second place for Red Bull, putting him in serious contention for the possibility of a final race achievement that he wants to get and get those points. Now Meowsy has just finished his race, coming in first there for him, and Sammy in the Williams, not being able to catch up in the final 3 minutes, will also finish in 10th. Here comes Clunky having to defend from Jono, takes the outside line. That is a beautiful finish for him. Jono smashing into a wall right at the end there. Bit of a celebratory smash. Your top 4 here today in the WSL Qatar coverage. We have Ferrari first with Meowsy. We have the McLaren second with MJ Roller, and we have Clunky in third. We have Jono in fourth for RB. In 10th and 11th, we have Williams, Sammy, and 11th, we have I Love Controller for Haas. In your 5th, we have Toasty in the Mercedes. Kick combined, YT coming in 6th, with Broadster in 7th for Kick as well. The second Red Bull, MS3, coming in 8th. And then 9th, we have Tiglio in the Aston Martin. That has been your coverage today for WSL's Qatar race. Congratulations to all podium winners. Beautiful race. Really clean for our front runners there. Great bit of racing. Bringing the season close to the end here. Obviously, a race after this. And then we have the intermediate season. A big win for Meowsy. Beautiful celebration there for him with his flag and his Ferrari podium. Good for him. Deserved. Great pace. Great win. Very well done for him. All right, and here is your final lineup, as I mentioned before, from us here in the commentary box. Thank you so much for watching WSL's coverage of Qatar.